and welcome back. Today in London it's been lovely, hot, sunny, cloudless day, and as a result lots of people have got sunburnt faces. So I thought what better day to put up, and we're going to have a really hot weekend as well, than my long awaited and much asked for tinted face SPFs. Now when I say tinted, this doesn't come in a broad range of shades, any of these products. I think the most one of them comes in is 4. So I'm going to put a shout out to every single woman of colour out there and say that if you want a tinted face product, what the hell are you using? Because some of these come in a range of shades which are attempting to go darker, but really I can't imagine what a woman of colour would wear on her face unless it was a foundation with an SPF in, whereas these are primarily SPFs with a hint of a tint. So let's get started. It's my top 10. And I'm going to start with the SPF version for the face of the Soleil Toujours that I mentioned on the body. The Soleil Toujours on the body is organic, it's reef friendly, and essentially you spray it on your body. You shouldn't really spray SPFs on your face, you should spray them into the hand, put them onto the face. However, and for every woman and man that asks me, please, I'm allergic to chemical sunscreens, a clumsy word, everything is a chemical. Please try and find some mineral ones. I've got some for you. This is the Soleil Toujours SPF 30 Broad Spectrum, and it's a mineral sunscreen glow, and it is 100% mineral sunscreen, which means it's great for sensitive skins. When you open it up, it does have a hint of a tint. And actually the colour quite suits me because it's quite a sort of yellowy, sallow sort of colour, which actually, funnily enough, is my skin colour. So it goes really nicely. It's very, very lightweight. It's 100% mineral sunscreen. It is £36. It comes in 1 shade. Now you see, that suits my skin. It's actually given me the better version of, I'm looking in that monitor there, by the way. It's given me the better version of my skin. Slightly soft focus because it's a mineral SPF. Mineral SPFs are light reflective. They're light diffusing by their very nature, which is why they're often used as the base for normal foundations, tinted moisturisers. That is just a really lovely tinted moisturiser, and actually because it is yellow in base probably will suit up to a Fitzpatrick 4, but the minute you go to a Fitzpatrick 5, that's a black woman or woman of colour, that's going to look slightly yellow. It'll make a lovely base for you, but you'd probably have to put your makeup on top. Anyway, I like that, and I like it because it's yellow based for myself. It would be far too dark for anybody Fitzpatrick 1 or 2 unless you're going to put your makeup on the top, and a lot of these are designed to be worn without makeup. If that is you, may I suggest you go for, and if you've got oily skin and you don't like that slightly hydrating tinted moisturiser effect, may I suggest you go for the very brilliant COOLA. And this is the COOLA SPF 30 Face. Again, it's a mineral sunscreen, it's unscented, and it's got a matte tint. Ooh, prepare yourself. I love a matte tint. This would be so nice on guys, so nice on guys. 1 shade, around £30. It's a mineral one. Again, it comes out in a slightly, the advantage, you see, the reason they put a tint on a mineral sunscreen is by its nature whitey silvery. So instead of looking like a ghost or a sort of professional sports person when they have those white lips and those white stripes, they wrap the mineral SPF in a pigment. And so it makes it easier to wear. This is gorgeous. This is that lovely silicone-based, soft focus, pore minimizing gorgeousness. So that's my favourite one if you've got medium to dry skin. This is my favourite one if you're a guy or you've got medium to oily skins, or if, like it has been in the UK recently, it's been quite sunny but also really muggy and sticky and everybody's faces are shiny and disgusting. This mattifies and soft focuses in a second. That is a beautiful product. Comparing the size, this is 36, this is 30. So you get a lot more for your money. But that reminds me a little bit of the Murad one I spoke about 2 weeks ago. So I started this SPF series by doing everyday face SPFs, then spray-ons for the body that are just easy. And now this is tinted SPFs for the face that you would use in the morning, but also to top up during the day. If you're caught out and you're thinking, you know, I've been at my desk all morning, I'm going to go out, I'm going to meet my girlfriends for lunch, or I'm going to meet my girlfriends after work, and the sun is still out, as it is in the UK, till 9 o'clock at night, although the UV index is going down by then. This is what you use to top up your SPF with. That is gorgeous. Well done, COOLA. I really like it. It might actually become, just because I'm addicted to that soft focus, slightly silicone matte, almost powdery finish to it, it might actually become my #1 physical SPF for summer. Another physical SPF, and one that I've been using for years, and it deserves to be mentioned because it's a classic, but it's fundamentally different, is SKINCEUTICALS. This is £37, one shade. I just honestly shout out to my women of colour. Where the hell are you getting your tinted SPFs from? That noise. Very similar packaging to the ROCHE little face one. This one is very hydrating, and it comes in a sort of, I love the way they think a universal shade is beige. Some of these are even too light for me, and I haven't been in the sun for years, so this is just the colour of my skin. This is very liquidy, very watery, but that means it does go beautifully under makeup, and you can dab it back on afterwards without messing up too much of your makeup. Really lightweight, a very gentle tint, more suited for drier skins. It's in a solvent base, so it's got that very slight sea ferulic feel to it, which some people like, some people don't. But it's a nice one to reapply. You could apply that, I mean, probably not with a beauty blender because it's quite expensive, and you will end up with it all absorbing into your beauty blender, but just dab back over your makeup, or use it in the morning as a sort of primer before your tinted moisturiser or your mineral makeup or your foundation. It's a great one. They are all 100% physical. I'm going to go on to a powder one a little bit later on. There are some chemical ones around that are fundamentally different in formulation. Chemical not in a bad way, it's just that they are chemical rather than physical sunscreens. And actually I do quite like the Origins Ginseng SPF 35. Now, this is technically not tinted, it's brightening. So this is almost like a sort of highlighter, but in an SPF form. So if you love that full-on glowy Katie Jane Hughes look, you're going to love this. So it comes out looking like that. Again, whose definition of universal is that? And what it gives is, it gives a sort of almost, this is how it would be used, it gives a sort of shimmer to the skin, which means I wouldn't use it. It smells lovely. I know technically facial SPFs should not be scented, but that smells of summer. It smells really citrusy. That's less of a tinted SPF, more of a sort of glowy primer, but with a nice SPF 30 in it. Now let's talk about the most cult tinted SPF and face tinted SPF, and I'm not really a fan. HelioCare. Every dermatologist in the UK pretty much recommends it. It's a nice one to take on holiday in place of makeup, as would any of these products, to be honest, if you really want a lightweight, easy to use look. It looks really tinted, and it does come in 2 shades. This is the beige, it also comes in the brown. I don't have the brown, so I'd be very interested. Again, shout out, have you used the brown? What did you think about it? It's not surprisingly, because you need a lot of these products to get, as I said in every single SPF video I've done, you need a lot of these products to get the SPF on the front. Most people are not applying them to that level. They're not putting a whole, half a teaspoon on their face. They're really not. So just remember the fact that you are getting less of the SPF than you think on the front. So they're not an excuse to lie out in the sun all day. I'm presuming you're too smart to do that anyway. This has got a sort of, it goes on quite greasy, and then it sort of dries. That means it suits dry skins, and dermatologists love it. It's not an unflattering finish. It's just not for me. I don't like that feeling of heavy face products. I really don't. Today I've got an antioxidant serum on, a hyaluronic acid serum. That is it under my makeup. Couldn't even face putting on a hydrating serum. It's just too hot. Dermatologists love it. Go and check it out. It does come in a brown shade, so it might be for you if you are Fitzpatrick 4 or 5. It's just not a feeling I like. I prefer the feeling of the mineral ones myself, but it's an SPF 50, you see. So you get the SPF 50. I'd probably be more tempted to use the SkinCeuticals one, But what, you know what I'm really going to do? I'm going to reapply the COOLA SPF 30 regularly because it gives me that matte finish, and start off with the Soleil Jour in the morning. Final tinted one that I've been testing this year is the First Aid one. And I'm mentioning it simply because it comes in 4 shades, and that's important because we need to have more shades of these products out. It comes in light, fair, medium and rich. I tried the medium because I tend to sort of skew that way with my skin because it's very sallow, very yellow. If I was to lie in the sun, it would tan very easily. This is much more like a foundation. It's an SPF 30, it's a chemical SPF, it's not a physical SPF, but this to me feels much more like a foundation. So there you go. We've got a lot more colour here. The rich, I'm going to test on the back of my hand just because I've been moaning about the lack of shades, so I feel like I should show you the shades. You know, if you're white, I mean, and I don't just mean white as in my skin colour. If you are really, really light skinned, if you've got blue eyes and pale sort of, you know, Disney princess skin, you're going to be able to use any of these things, even most physical SPFs, because they're going to look white and reflective on your skin. If you're my skin or darker, you know, Fitzpatrick 3, 4, 5, you're going to be in trouble. So let's have a look at the dark one. There's the dark one. You see, at least it gets a shout out because it does come in a darker shade, which is essentially looks like a fake tan on the back of my hand. Again, it's not going to go up to probably a Fitzpatrick 5, but it's going to cover a Fitzpatrick 4. It's much more hydrating. It feels much more like a makeup, very lightly scented. To me, it's more of a tinted foundation than a tinted SPF. I like First Aid. I think it's a really nice brand. If you've got problem skins and you've got teenagers, check out their problem skin range. It's excellent. They're the liquids. I want to go on to a few compacts before I wind up. CLARINS have got an SPF 30. Again, what CLARINS have done with their SPF range this year I've really liked. The reason I like this is because if you are going to be on the move, these compacts are quite handy. Again, I'm afraid it's a single colour. It is actually quite dark. Have a look at that. There you go. And it's a sort of dry touch. What you do is you push this and it comes out. Can somebody please explain the attraction of silicone applicators? I really don't like them at all. I would never use that on my face. Feels weird. What's wrong with your fingers? It's a dry touch cream, so it dries quite quickly. They say it's a universal shade. Again, it's a universal for me, which means sort of sallow and white. That wouldn't be universal for anybody else, I don't think, but at least by taking it yellow in base colour, it's going to appeal to a broader spectrum than if it's pink in base colour. But again, if you are that middle Fitzpatrick 2 or 3 and you want something on the run, it's a nice one. Lancaster have a very similar thing. The Lancaster one is an SPF 50, so automatically it gets your thumbs up because you're never going to get an SPF 50 from it because you'd have to probably use the whole tub on your face. But for topping up during the day and being caught out, noses, lips, chests, faces, it's a good one. And the reason I like it is because it looks like that. So it originally looks like a powder, and then when you use it, you realise that it's I mean, to be honest, it's not actually that tinted. It looks like it's tinted, but when it goes on, it's quite clear, and then it dries a sort of semi-matte finish. So again, women of colour, it's not for you. I'm really sorry. We need to get the industry to get their act together and put more pigments into their SPFs. But it's a nice one for Fitzpatrick 1, 2 and 3. If you are, however, looking for a compact or a top-up version of an SPF and you want a physical SPF, I always say go mineral powder. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, really, a powder during the day? But, you know, we've been really sweaty recently in London, even though the sun hasn't been out, and everybody's looking super shiny. People like Jane Iredale and Brush On Block and Paula's Choice, I'm really sorry I don't have them because they don't really sell them in the UK here, do really great click brush on SPFs. And this is very similar. This is by Jane Iredale, but it's in a powder like that. So you basically, I mean, I can't see in this. I should have a mirror with me here, but you basically dab it on. Now look at my face. So it's literally a top up like that. The reason I mention them is because they're makeup companies. I'm sure I look like a ghost still now. Because they're makeup companies, they come in a much broader selection of shades. So if you are darker skin, Fitzpatrick 345, you're going to find your shade a lot more easily if you go to a company like Brush en Bloc or IREDALE. They are my on the run for your face, first thing in the morning, but also top up during the day, SPFs with a hint of tint or in a compact. Now, there is a myth that the SPFs in your makeup don't count. They do count. All SPFs count. The problem is that you don't apply enough of the SPF. You know what really needs to happen is the way that SPFs are tested needs to be changed, because, as I said before, only dermatologists apply that level of SPF. You know, when you see a mum cover a child on the beach and they're just basically a little bit ghost-like, that's applying it to the right level. Meanwhile, adults, human beings, makeup, face SPFs, none of us want to look like shiny, greasy ghosts. We don't. Therefore, my advice is go higher on the SPF and accept the fact that you're probably getting 50% of the coverage, at most. So that's why I like the SPF 50s, that's why I like that one, that's why I like that one, that's why I do like HelioCare. Because the reason they're putting an SPF 50 in is because most of us are applying at most half of what they should be applying. However, I'm going to tell you, for my face, I prefer a physical SPF, which is why I am majorly crushing on these three. And that is kind of genius. That's a nice one for dry skin. That's the nice one for oily, shiny, sweaty skins. They are great, great, great products. And the final two products are available at Space NK. So the SPF buyer at Space NK has done a great job. Finally, I want you to go over to my Instagram because I am giving away, I've teamed with ROCHE. I'm giving away 20 UV trackers. I think they're worth about £70. I'm giving away 20 of these with 20 sets of the spray-on SPF that I love. For the body, and the face one I really love as well, the shaker. This is important because it's a way of you either putting it on your child or your husband or yourself. You can measure your UV exposure throughout the day. So it's a really clever thing. You basically clip it onto your clothing, or I would probably put it here because I get most of my sun damage here. And it's a really clever way of tracking your UV exposure. And it measures your exposure to UV, to pollution, to pollen, to humidity. It's quite a sort of geeky thing, and I've got 20 of them to give away because I think it's a really clever thing. However, because they're giving away the SPFs as well, we cannot post the SPFs out of the UK and Ireland because they are aerosols, so I'm really sorry. So this competition is only open to people in the UK. But if you get the chance, go online and check these out just because they're fun and they're really clever and they're interesting. And sometimes, you know, I think we forget the level of UV exposure we get on a day-to-day basis. I mean, not me, I'm stuck inside creating videos for you, but for everybody else, I hope you get out there this weekend and have a lot of fun in the sun. These are nice to take on holiday in place of face makeup, face SPFs as well. Just remember, keep topping them up. Don't think that any SPF doesn't count, they all count. You just need to sort of layer them on to get the right level of SPF to protect you, and then just put a hat and glasses on. And that way you're always safe in the sun. Have a really, really lovely long hot weekend stroke summer wherever you're going. This is my last SPF. I'm sick to death of the sight of SPFs, to be honest. I'm going to take my COOLA and go out in the garden now and grab a very long rhubarb gin and tonic. So thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you soon.